All right, back for part six. I think it's six. Um, we've got to go through the T's, and maybe we can get to the end. I'd like to get to the end and then have one more where I order these things and try to get the ones added that I didn't or wasn't able to get added. I tried again. It's just something with either my account or the format, but there's probably five or six or so that ideally would be on here. If not, I'll just talk about them when I get to the end. All right, with the T's, here we go. We are on Tallyhawk. So Tallyhawk is the like companion. Each of the Silverhawks, that was the show, had a sidekick who was a hawk that would like come off their arm or they'd like shoot him out. Tallyhawk's the most important one. It's the only one I included. He is the main one. He's actually in the theme song, and you see him in the symbol. So I like Tallyhawk. He's cool. Doesn't talk or do anything special, but we'll put him up here. And this was Spirit. I did double check that, so I was ultimately right with this dude from GI Joe. All right, man, I should have looked her up. This is, I think it's Tara or Tara, probably Tara from Herculoids. She's the female person. There's a guy, the female, and the kid. So I had the kid and the kind of trash. But I thought she was fine. Was not my favorite, like in the show or anything. But I thought she and Xandor maybe was the guy. So we'll probably see him still. But she was fine. We'll have her. Let's have her down by like Johnny Quest. Okay, T-Bone. This is I had Razor earlier. This is T-Bone from SWAT Cats. He's the bigger, burlier dude from that show. I like T-Bone as well. I do not remember where I ended up putting Razor, but T-Bone's. I like T-Bone's personality. He's one I like to see in the show, so I'm going to go a little bit higher. Um, we'll have to calibrate some of these for sure, but eh, we'll have him by Speed Racer for now. Okay, back to this is Bad Batch. Actually, this is a spinoff of Clone Wars. So this is Tech. I think is his name. He's the obviously the tech genius of the Bad Batch of clones. Cool enough guy. It wasn't like one that I was like, oh, Tech is on, but he was fine. So I'll have Tech and throw him. It's got a little more to do than some of these guys. I'll have him up by like Hawkman. All right, this is Teddy. Teddy from Bob's Burgers. Teddy's like a side character, but he's important in a lot of the episodes. Real dumb, but is like the only patron of Bob's Burgers every day. I mean, they have other patrons, but he's the one that the regular. Uh, Handyman helps the family. Is funny. Love when he like argues with Bob about stuff. He's an awesome character, I think. So I'm going to put Teddy up in the awesome category. Let's throw him around like Jerry. Sorry, a lot of scrolling at this point. Uh, all right, Tila. Tila is He-Man. It is the kind of female hero in He-Man, so not She-Ra. There's a version of Tila in a newer He-Man that I like more than this version. She's fine. I mean, she's a good character. I shouldn't say she's fine. She's a good character. I would probably have I'd have Tila kind of like Scarlet from GI Joe. So I'll have her in the barely not awesome category. She and that's including the new version because I do like the new version. I think she's a little bit cooler character in that one. Okay, this is Tara. Tara from Young Justice, but I think she's also like a Teen Titan. She was not a I don't know if she's a villain, but she was kind of trained to be a villain, and so she ended up turning good. Sometimes reverts back, but is ultimately one of the good guys. So Terra controls the ground. That's like her power. It's Earth Terra. That's how to say it. She's more interesting than some of these others. I maybe have her just above like Impulse here. This dude that replaced Kid Flash. Okay, why is so this is the Atom. That's why he's in the tease. But it's Atom from Justice League who shrinks and grows. Adam's pretty cool. I like Adam. Adam had a good episode where he had to help stop Amazo. I remember, and like shrink down and do some stuff, partnering with Lex Luthor and others to make that happen. But he's a scientist. There was one where he like went into somebody's body, so he had some more stuff to do than some of these others. I don't know that I'd have him. I'd have him maybe just below Etrigan. Okay, we had Alvin, we had Simon, now we have Theodore. And then you get the theme song in your head, the do 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 do. Theodore is the like shorter, fatter, fun, naive, innocent one of the group. I like Theodore. I don't know if I like Theodore more than Alvin. I might. I have to think about that one. All right, the Tick. That's why he's there. The Tick show, like I said, is hilarious. He's a great superhero. It's one of my favorite shows to watch. He is one of my goats, for sure. Just a great character, hilarious. Still strong and powerful and can do a lot of things, but also just adult in a lot of ways. Love the Tick. This is from Samurai Jack. This is why would he be here? What's his Thief? I think it's like the Thief or Thief. He's only in one episode. He's not really a protagonist, but I thought he was an interesting character, and I didn't have him as a villain. He's just a thief. He's trying to get to some gem that Jack is also trying to get to. The difference is he's got a lot of technology, like his briefcase changes into stuff. So he's competing with Jack, but ultimately they have to partner to escape where they're getting from. And he's got a cool personality because he's not like malicious towards Jack or anything, but he's also out for himself. But he comes back and helps him. So he's a neat character. He's one I wish that was in more of the show and came back, but it was toward the end of the show, I think. So like not much time for him. But I'd have him in the Barely Not Awesome. I thought he was a really fun character. All right, The Thing. Thing is Fantastic Four. We had some of the Fantastic Four in earlier videos right here. I like The Thing and his personality more than some of the other Fantastic Four. Johnny sometimes, and Johnny may move a little bit because I do like Johnny Storm. He can get a little old for me if he's just constantly being Johnny Storm, but it's the point of his character. The Thing, though, is a little bit more just it's clobbering time. He's pretty cool. So I'm going to take him up a bit, and let's put him just above like Iron Fist. Thor, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. This is not Thor from the movies where everything is a joke and they changed him into like they do every character being the exact same. This is pretty legit Thor, where he's more serious and Asgardian, kind of little dry at times, which is good. Not everybody has to be a comedian, but I like Thor a lot. He fits in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes show really well. I'd have him in the awesome category, most likely, but maybe a little lower than some of the others. So we'll have him down there. Tien. I think it's Tien Shin, but Tien. Tien was a villain to start with Chaozu in Dragon Ball. There's Chaozu. He is part of the Crane School and was trained to be evil, effectively, or mean. But he ends up being good, and he ends up fighting, and he's like the strongest human, essentially. Maybe Krillin's a little stronger than him. but he plays an important role. He has this like flash thing he does with his hands that blinds people. That's still important even with guys that are much stronger than him. So he's a contributor even when his power isn't probably the strongest. But I'd have Tien in the barely not awesome category. I think he's a cool character. His third eye is always weird. I don't know that he even uses it, but it's pretty cool. Um, I won't get too particular because I'll come back and move these around. Let's have him around Sabine. All right, Timmy. Timmy from South Park. So Timmy is the boy who I think the first episode he was in was where he was in a band, Timmy 2000 or something like that. But he became a main focal point of the group, the boys group over time. Timmy is great. Timmy's awesome for sure. I think I've got Jimmy up here as well, and Timmy and Jimmy kind of go together. Timmy came first, but they go hand in hand a bit on the show, so they are both awesome characters. Recess. I've mentioned before I didn't watch Recess a ton, but I know enough of like their personalities and saw it on Saturday morning to get it. TJ is the cool like leader of the group. Backwards hat back when that was cool. It's kind of coming back, so that's how old that show is. But yeah, the TJ was I like TJ, so I got some of the Recess characters down here, Mikey, Gus, Gretchen, but I like TJ more. Um, Enough to like put him toward the top maybe of the cool enough category. Again, we will shift around. Toad from Super Mario Brothers. Again, can't place them too much, but I do remember Toad from the show. I did like Toad. I thought Toad was cool enough. It wasn't like anything super special, but I thought Toad was fine. Let's have him. Yeah, I'm around the Smurfs. It kind of looks like a Smurf. It's not blue, but he's got the head. All right, Tom and Jerry. So this is Tom. Questionable whether he's a protagonist because he's chasing Jerry, who you kind of see as the protagonist. But Tom and Jerry have a bit of a cat and mouse relationship, which is true, but they're, kind of together too in different venues. They had Tom and Jerry Kids. There were a couple iterations of the show. Tom was cool enough. He wasn't my favorite. I like Jerry more than I like Tom, but maybe have him around Little Beeper and Dino. Okay, Top Cat. Top Cat's a cool cat from Hanna-Barbera. Another one of those shows I didn't like watch a ton or know the character a ton. He's in those crossover things that they do. But Top Cat wasn't really one that I watched that much, so I would just put him kind of in the I didn't really care about it to watch it, so have him down there. Tally, don't forget to bring a towel. Tally is a completely lame, dumb character from South Park that was intentionally dumb and makes fun of himself for that reason. I like Tally because he always tries to get high. That's his thing. They're always trying to prevent him from doing it because it gets him into trouble and causes a bunch of issues. But he's like, he's a towel. Don't be a towel. Those kind of things. So I'll have Tally in the barely not awesome. He's not like a great character, but he's funny for what he is. Let's have Tally up by these guys. Okay, this is Trevor from Castlevania. Trevor's a really cool character. I had Sif earlier, who I like a lot on the show. Trevor is really cool too. I had Alucard up here as well, I think, like toward the top probably. Let's see. I'd have Trevor in the awesome category, and maybe there's Alucard. I liked Trevor more than him. Now, Alucard, I think, had a more interesting story, but I do like Trevor's character. Could change my mind. And I like Sif a little bit more. We'll see how that rolls, but I liked her too. All right, this is Trunks. This is future Trunks. So there's like young Trunks and future Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. I prefer Future Trunks. Trunks, who is the kid, is kind of like Goten to me. I had Goten is like cool enough. They're best buddies and they have fun together, which is fine. But Future Trunks is kind of a badass. He comes with a sword and he's coming from the future with the androids, and he just destroys Frieza and King Cold like immediately. So I have Trunks as awesome. Future Trunks is awesome. Uh, Throw him up there. See where we go. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget her name. So she is from Pirates of the Dark Water, and it's the girl, and I want to say it's like, oh man, Tula is what's coming to my mind. These next two I cannot remember their names too much, but Tula or whatever her name is, I do remember her. She was cool enough. Like it wasn't my favorite female character in shows, but she was fine. Maybe down here with Tara and Jem and those folks. Um, Man, I wish I could remember this guy's name because he was on Herculoids. It's hard to remember the names. They didn't like call them out as much. There are some shows if you watch from like the 80s. She-Ra is one of them. He-Man is maybe another, where they say each other's names all the time because they're trying to sell toys. So it's like, hey, remember so and so? You need to buy this one. But back then, some of them weren't like that. They were just cartoons. So this one, I don't remember his name. It starts with a T. It's probably like Tundrar or something like that. I feel like that's close. But he shot rocks out of his nose, and I liked him. He was fun. There was his buddy who I had earlier that's like I'd Go or something that's up here, and I probably have him a little bit higher. I'm cool enough. Turbo from GoBots. Turbo is my favorite GoBot other than Leader One. There's Leader One. I'll throw him up there. I had his toy. He was a cool looking car. He was one of the better looking GoBots. There weren't a ton of them, but I liked his voice and I liked Turbo more than Scooter, who was lame on the GoBot side. Tweety Bird. You had Sylvester chasing Tweety with Granny, and he was in his cage, and he'd get out and wreak havoc a little bit. Tweety is classic, but I don't know that he's one of my favorites. I'll have him in the barely not awesome category for now, which is still really good. Let's have him kind of by Astro. All right. We have Tigra, and the reason he's down here is because it's Tygra. Tigra, Thundercats, Right Hand Man. He's one of those, like if you actually made a live action movie in the 80s, I'd say Mel Gibson plays Tigra. Could be wrong. I like Tigra a lot, though. Tigra was fun. He was supportive of Lion-O. He wasn't like a secondhand person, like, why am I not in charge? He and Chitara went a little hand in hand, and I actually like Tigra a lot. He had this really cool whip. You see it in his hand. It extends out and turns into a whip and comes back. But both those characters are great. And then we have Vanity Smurf. I was gonna say it's like vain. He's vain. It's Vanity. Vanity Smurf. Looked in the mirror a lot. Vanity was one of those I didn't really care about on the show. I know I had the other Smurfs up, but Vanity, I was just like, okay, it's preening and looking in the mirror, whatever. Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta was one of the worst villains in Dragon Ball Z, and ended up turning good out of his one competition with Kakarot, who is Goku. But he ends up getting softened by Bulma, and it's the best part of him is when he becomes like a dad and has to balance his, I'm a Saiyan and I'm going to be awful, and then like his dad duties kick in and he turns into his dad version. But he's still awesome because he's always just like one step below Goku, maybe gets above him for a second, but he's very critical in like a lot of battles, and he's really hardcore. we'll see where these guys end up. I've got them both as supreme, but both Goku and Vegeta are great. Goku is really awesome. I know I talked about him in an early video where I get frustrated with him like not finishing a battle or taking things too lightly, but that's part of his character in the show. When he gets hardcore, like he's great, and plus his younger version's great. Vegeta, it's hard to do that because he was a villain. Like he started out, you don't really see him any younger than that. Velma from Scooby Doo. I like Velma. Velma's the nerd that keeps him going. Sometimes I'll have her in the barely not awesome category. She's a critical character to the main Scooby Doo story. I think she's got her own cartoon and stuff now, which I don't watch, but as part of the group, I enjoyed her on the show, so I'll have her throw her in with the Muppet Babies there. Okay, Vinkman, Real Ghostbusters, the goofball, funny dude that we all love. I'll have him up by Egon. I like both of them a lot. I don't know which one I'd have before. We'll see. All right, Videl. Videl is the wife of Gohan from Dragon Ball Z and Super, I'm sure. I don't remember her as much in that, but the daughter of Mr. Satan / Hercule, and she's a little like Chi-Chi, who's Gohan's mother, where she's a fighter herself. She, unlike her dad, is a legit fighter, but she's a little sweeter than Chi-Chi. She's not as demanding as her, but I like Videl. She's a cool character, like her in the show. I'll have her in the barely not awesome category, maybe down by launch. All right, Vigilante. I mentioned him earlier with Shining Knight. He's on Justice League. They had a couple episodes with him, but he's cool looking. He's got his scarf over his face, and he's a gunslinger. I always like the gunslingers. I'll have him down with Shining Knight, but probably a little bit higher than him because I do like these types of characters. So let's have him just above Creeper. Okay, this is from Recess. This is Vince. Vince is the athlete of the group, basketball player, does all the sports, I think. But Vince is cool. I liked Vince. It wasn't like, oh no, Vince, I don't really want to watch it. He's cool enough. Not necessarily the reason I'd watch the show, but with these other Recess people, I'd probably have him a bit above Gus and maybe just below Mikey. Close to that. Vision, android, Sirius, little like Red Tornado on the Justice League side of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Vision has a little bit more to do usually. Doesn't have a ton of personality on the show that I recall, but I'll have him maybe toward the top of the Cool Enough world. All right, Vixen. Vixen is the shape-shifting into animals hero from Justice League. She is part of like the love challenge with Green Lantern and Black Canary and whatever. But I like Vixen. I think Vixen's pretty cool. I will put Vixen up similarly up toward the top of Cool Enough. And I'm trying to keep it a little bit balanced. I hope most are fitting in Barely Not Awesome and Cool Enough to do the bell curve type deal. All right, we got Wacko. Wacko is, again, backwards cap, cool kid, Animaniacs, sounded like Ringo from the Beatles. I used to be able to do Wacko's voice really well when I was a kid. Also got asked to do that one a lot at school. I'm trying to remember where I had... I only had Dot so far. There's Dot. So I'd have Wacko above Dot and probably up in this group here, maybe by Pinky. Just want to make sure I didn't leave him short. Long way to scroll now. War Machine, James Rhodes. Fun enough character. I don't remember him a ton, but he's in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I always liked War Machine. I liked the character more than Iron Man from an armor perspective. But Iron Man obviously has a ton more to do as Tony Stark. But I do like War Machine. I'm going to have him a little above. Let's just do Black Panther. Okay. We have Wasp. This is Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Wasp is in other things. She's in other shows, I'm sure. But I like this version of Wasp. She was good on the show. She shrinks, shoots her little stingrays, is kind of acknowledges how strong her power isn't sometimes, if I remember. But I'll have her as Cool Enough and more toward the top of Cool Enough. She's probably a little above like Maria Hill. All right, Wendy Testerberger from South Park. Wendy is like, she's got a strong personality. She controls Stan, which is funny. She's also like has to push back on all the stupidity of the people around her. She's like the logical one and like, what's wrong with all of you? I can sympathize with that sometimes. So I'm gonna have Wendy as Cool Enough, and let's have her. Let's put her kind of right below Lisa. All right, this is Wendy as well, but this is Wendy from Super Friends. So Wendy is the partner of the dude I could not remember his name before. Mark, something. But anyway, characters I didn't really care about, but I did like Wendy more. So those are the two with a Wonder Dog, who we might have down here. Yeah, here's Wonder Dog. So I'll go ahead and pull him up. So Wonder Dog's cut off a bit, but he's the superhero dog that goes with these two. I liked Wonder Dog a little bit more, but I really didn't. That's just a part of Justice League that I didn't care about. So I'll put him a little bit higher and that don't really care about. I mean, it's hard when you've got, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman and all these characters that you're like, I'd rather pay attention to them than these kids. All right, Wheeler. It controlled fire from Captain Planet. So Wheeler and Linka were kind of two of my favorites probably on that show. And I had Linka up here. So I will have Wheeler just ahead of her, and I think that makes some sense. I liked both of them more than Captain Planet himself, which is why he's down here. So yeah, Wheeler was the American, and he was the fire cool kid. All right, Wheeljack. Wheeljack is Transformers. He's that mechanic I mentioned when I talked about Ratchet, I think. Different because his face was covered, kind of like the Optimus Prime, but he had these two, you see him on the side, these like two things sticking out of his head, and they'd light up when he talked. And he had a cool voice. Transformed into a cool looking car. I always like that with Transformers. They sell toys that way. I did not have Wheeljack, though, as a toy. Kind of wish I did. But I have Wheeljack as awesome. I'll have him in with these guys, and I probably liked him a little less than Ratchet. Wheeljack also dies. They killed all the good characters in Transformers movie, and I love that movie, but man, it was brutal. All right, Whis. Whis is from Dragon Ball Super, and he is like the second level of strongest characters in it, but that's not his intent. I think they're called angels or something like that, where they're the like just below God or just below like omnipotent being, whatever he is. But Whis is supposed to overlook like the god of destruction, which is Beerus, who is a bit of a villain, a bit of a hero, depending. But Whis is very even keeled. He travels through space. He loves eating. He prevented the Earth from being destroyed because he loved the food. But he is a really strong fighter and trains Goku and Vegeta in that series. And I like Whis. He was fine. I'll have him as cool enough. He's a little more interesting than some of these characters. Let's have him by Dende and Goten. All right, Wild Bill. Wild Bill is from G.I. Joe. I liked Wild Bill. Again, a gunslinger. They get credit from me. He didn't have like a ton of time in the show, if I recall. But I probably have him higher than some of the others. So I'm going to have Wild Bill up in the top of the cool enough. and he could move up as well. Yeah, I like Sergeant Slaughter more. So, all right, this is Wildcat. Wildcat is Justice League. He's a boxer. And I don't think he has superhero powers. I think he's just like a really strong dude who boxes and has a couple of good episodes. He's in Batman Brave and the Bold as well. So I like him as a just everyday, guy character. Maybe by Jonah Hex. That's a good spot for him. Okay, Wilma Flintstone. We've had the Rubbles, we've had Fred, we've had Pebbles, Bam Bam. I think Wilma's the last one. We're running to the end, so makes sense. Wilma was a good character, a good wife, a classic character. She's not my favorite. Like I just didn't watch for Wilma, so I'll have her in the cool enough category. Doesn't mean she's not iconic or anything. It's just didn't really watch the show for her. All right, we have Wily Kit and Wily Cat. So Wily Cat is the guy. They're twins, I think. So Wily Cat and Wily Kid are the mischievous, smaller Thundercats. That's as big as they get because they were in like a chamber, I think, to age like Lion-O was. So they're older, even though they look like kids, I believe. So Wily Cat and Wily Kid, I liked, and I'm gonna have them in the Barely Not Awesome category. They were a fun little duo. Let's just throw them around Hampton. And I liked Wily Cat a little bit more than Wily Kit, I think. But they kind of go hand in hand. They were always together. All right, Winston from Real Ghostbusters. I liked all the Real Ghostbusters. Winston, I'd have maybe as Barely Not Awesome. I don't remember him as much as the others, but I might think of some plots and things that he was in where I liked him more. I probably need to have Ray down with him. They're kind of comparable to me. So wherever Ray ended up is more where I would have Winston, and maybe I put him above. But anyway, once I find that, I'll move them around because I like Finkman and Egon more. All right, Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's Earth's Mightiest Heroes. This is Bucky who gets his brain washed, comes back. I was never really a huge Bucky guy or a Winter Soldier guy. I know he's like, supposed to be this emotional friend of Captain America, and I just never really got into that. He's cool enough, but I'd have him toward a lower part of cool enough. I just like he's a little more interesting than some of these. So let's have him like about Corsair's level. Wolverine is X-Men the animated series, plus X-Men 97 and other million iterations. This is the definitive version of Wolverine. Like this is 100% a goat. He's it's a shame. It's a little bit of a shame in X-Men because you couldn't really be as violent with him. It's hard. His strength is, or his claws. I think in X-Men 97, they let him have a little bit more freedom to do that, which was great. But there's always the opportunity with Wolverine to go up and down. It kind of reminds me of Batman in that way, where like you can have a more violent version of him versus a more like kid-friendly version. And he's still a really great character. Whereas like Spider-Man, you're probably not going to get like a super adult, Spider-Man, violent Spider-Man. Superman too, as well. All right, Wonder Girl, who is Justice, Young Justice version of Wonder Woman. She's fine, cool enough. Wasn't a character I really cared too much about. It's more interesting than some of these. Let's see. Probably have her by fire. Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman from Justice League. Again, this is the definitive version of Wonder Woman. I know some people will be like, "Oh no, the new Wonder Woman movie is the best." It's like fine, but this is Wonder Woman. Uh, there was also the old Wonder Woman live show, which was great. Linda, what's her name? Can't think of it right now, but this is the version that I really like. Wonder Woman's in the supreme tier to me as well. Kind of helped drive Justice League show. Justice League Unlimited was always a strong character uh, throughout the show. I feel like she had a bit of a romance with Batman in that, if I remember. Might be misremembering. Okay, Wrecker. Wrecker is in Bad Batch. He's the big, burly, strong, hulking guy that you tend to have. Uh, I liked Wrecker. He was a bruiser. He didn't really care. He's willing to sacrifice for things. I'll have him in the lower end of barely not awesome. He's one of the stronger characters in that show for me. All right, we're making progress almost to the end. We'll be great on time here. Yajirobe. Yajirobe is a character in Dragon Ball Z. Uh, Plays an important role occasionally. At first, he was a bit of a bully and stronger than Goku, I think, and killed one of the. Uh, I don't remember which one, but one of King Piccolo's offspring. Tambourine, maybe no, Simple. I always get Simple, maybe. But anyway, Yajirobe uses a sword. He also cut off Vegeta's tail, I think, for Dragon Ball Z, which was really important because he turned into a giant ape and all that. So Yajirobe is a fun character. I like Yajirobe. He's in my barely not awesome category. I'll have him uh, in this grouping down here. All right, Yakko. Yakko Animaniacs. Yakko was the ringleader of the group, the oldest brother kind of feel. He was one of my favorites for a couple things. One was he was the one who announced the Wheel of Morality at the end. Uh, what was today's lesson? But he also did the country's song where he sang all the countries, and the song is not completely accurate for those who do watch it. I know all the countries and everything, and it's still a great song. It helped when I was a kid. Um, so we had Dot there. We had Wacko a little bit higher. And let's drop Yakko right around there. All right, Yamcha. Yamcha is kind of a lot of Dragon Ball characters like this. They were a little bit bad at the end. I mean, he was like a thief or just a vagrant, something like that. And he and Puar were scavenging and trying to take advantage of people. But ultimately, he ended up helping and being a good guy. Was good natured. Was never powerful, super powerful. So like even in the tournaments and stuff, he just started out like being a serious threat. He had some kind of like wolf punch, which was cool, but he faded over the series. One of the cooler moments I think was in Super where they were playing baseball, and he ended up being an important player, like won the game or something in baseball. So just a funny little side episode for them. So yeah, Yamcha I like. I'll have him in the barely not awesome. He was a fun character as well with Yajirobe. Um, okay, this guy I can never remember his name. It's they have him as like the chief of police in South Park, and so he became the police department became a bigger thing once the show got farther along. So Officer Barbrady took a side seat, though he was still in the show, and then this guy came along, and I think it's like Officer. It starts with a Y. Obviously, he's there, but I can't remember exactly what it is. This guy's hilarious. You would think like, oh, you're replacing Bar Brady, who's a dumb but beloved character. This guy just, man, I don't know how to explain it. So he's willing to do just about anything to crack a case or whatever, but complete incompetence on the police department perspective, and he is the face of that. So I will have him as, and his last name will pop into my head probably. They just don't call him that. I don't think that much. Um, but I'll have him toward the bottom of Barely Not Awesome. It could be something as simple as like no, because Yoda's next. So I was going to say Officer Young or something. But okay, Yoda. So Yoda is in I mean, he's in a lot of things, but he's in Clone Wars. Obviously, a big role because he was in the movies and stuff, and he was good in Clone Wars. It's not my favorite character though. Some of the Jedi, I had up here is really high, but Yoda's just kind of barely not awesome for me from that show. I mean, he's fine and he serves a purpose. My favorite times are when he's like teaching younglings or something like that, and not necessarily fighting because it always looks a little ridiculous to me. Um, but man, that's like one character that you just take from being like the best character in the originals to beating him into the ground, at least in my perspective. Okay, Yogi Bear, Hanna-Barbera. Again, a lot of those shows I didn't really watch a lot, but I liked Yogi. Yogi and Boo Boo. Boo Boo was one of the pictures I couldn't get to work, I think, because I don't remember talking about him. But Yogi, I'm going to have in the barely not awesome category. Uh, stealing picnic baskets from the Ranger. It can maybe a little like Pink Panther. He was also in Laugh Olympics and all those things, Hanna-Barbera things. All right, Yoshi. Yoshi, I don't remember a ton from the Super Mario show, but he was in it. So I was like, well, I need to at least see what he was. And he was fine. I'll have him down in the like cool enough, but not very high. I don't remember a ton about his character on that show. All right, we had the Wonder Twins earlier. We had the monkey, and we had it's like Gleek, and we had Jaina, the sister, and this is Zan. The Wonder Twin powers activate. I like Jaina a little bit more than Zan, so I'll put Jaina ahead. You see, they got the little letters on their chest. But yeah, they put the rings together, turn into two different things. All right. I'm going to get the name wrong. I think I had it right earlier when I was talking about Tara, and Xandor. I think it's Xandor. Herculoids, male leader, a little bit like a Conan kind of deal, which I liked. I thought he was a cool enough character. I'll have them together, but I liked him a little bit more than some of these. So let's just throw them right around there. Okay, Zatanna, Justice League, magician, Young Justice as well. I always like Zatanna. I like when she shows up. She's a magician. I like the magician people, so I'm going to put her higher than some of the others. She is fun to have on the show, and similar a little like Black Canary. So I'll have her in the barely not awesome. Zeb. Zeb is from Rebels, so the spinoff kind of Clone Wars, and Zeb's a fun brute character, but caring and valuable to the group. See where we've got some of these other folks here. I like Zeb. Let's throw Zeb around Gladiator. That's fine. All right, Princess Zelda. Obviously, just going Zelda here, then the Z's. Zelda and Link were in the Zelda show. I had Link probably in the cool enough section just because, again, he doesn't talk in the cartoon or in the games, but he does talk in the cartoon, which throws me off just a bit. I mean, he has to, it's a cartoon. I had Link here. I like Zelda a little bit more than Link, so I'm going to have her in the cool enough right there. I say it all the time, but that's another, like if I watch the show, I might like her more. But I don't remember it being on like a super long time. Run toward the end. We got Zipper. Zipper is the little fly from Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. One of the, who's going to sneak in and get into something. Zipper's always good, and he's fun. He wasn't like a character I really paid too much attention to, but I'd have him maybe down. Dino World. All right. well, we'll skip this real quick because I just talked about Herculoids. So this is Zod, I think, the dragon from Herculoids. So we just had a couple of folks from Herculoids, and we had the rock shooting and all that up here. I like the dragon too. He had laser eyes, and he looked really strong. So I'd probably have him right around in there. And that leaves us with Zoidberg. So Zoidberg is from Futurama. He's like a mollusk or something and does mollusk things at a time, but he's a doctor, so he does doctor things sometimes. Zoidberg is fun. I enjoyed Zoidberg. And I wish, like, I remember Dr. Scratch Stiff, but I wish I could remember the name of the doctor, professor from Futurama. Still not coming to me. But Zoidberg I'd have in Barely Not Awesome. Let's throw him next to Barney for now. Okay, so a little bit shorter on this video, which is good. We got through everything. We'll do a double check to make sure I didn't miss anything. But the next video, before I do it, I'm going to try to get the other pictures in because I want to get some of the characters put on here that I missed. And then I'm going to go from the bottom to the top to try to reorganize them and get them at least to where the most important folks are in the right order, and they will be in a rank order. So we'll stop there, come back for a final video.